if we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm a good watch in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. Keep going a little bit longer.
And radio. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome into Newhouse Afternoon for the final time with us alongside Samantha Barlow, Geraldine Pollia. Geraldine already with the frowny face. It's unfortunately the last time of the year, but it's been a good ride. It's been a good ride so far, Geraldine.
It has, for sure.
Sam, how are we feeling? Last show?
Feeling pretty sad about it. Last show also means graduation's right around the corner, and I feel like our program's only a year, but I feel like we blinked and it was over. So it's just hard to think about SU being home for this year and a very compact year.
Yeah. Just
for us to have to say bye to it in a couple weeks. So pretty hard loss.
Yeah. Well,
I know you guys are gonna miss our push our button.
Real.
We have one good one tonight or later today. So
2 weeks ago, we talked about if the transfer portal and the way it's kind of set up bothers us. That was our push my buttons, and then sure enough, Trevor Pena enters the portal like
crazy.
About a day, 2 days ago. And he was named a captain, and all of a sudden he's just up and leaving. So, Geraldine, I'll start with you. Kind of quick thoughts about what you're feeling.
I mean, like we talked about, I think the transfer portal has, and just like NIL and everything has gotten kind of blown up so crazy that it's now not uncommon for us to see players like Trevor Pena going into the transfer portal, which after he's been named a captain and, you know, been on the team for 5 years and everything, it's a tough blow, not only just because he's a good player, but also just because he's kind of
one of the leaders,
one of the leaders in what you think of when you think of SU football.
Yeah, especially for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think going off of that, to lose as many guys as we lost last season, and to have Pena be like that pillar, that flag in the wind for SU, and to get the news a couple of days ago that
that one hurt.
That I was like, my jaw actually dropped. I was flabbergasted. I could not believe that had happened. Coach Fran Brown gave him a no-contact jersey at the spring game. That is how important Pena was to this team. He was not allowed to be touched at the spring game because he's so elemental to what this SU team was supposed to be this year. And now to see him possibly going somewhere else, what the heck is happening in college sports right now? Seriously.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Brown, he basically said that, you know, it wasn't entirely a money thing, but money did play a factor yesterday on Orange Nation.
We paid him enough. He was going to get paid more. It was different things that would go there, but there were some numbers that were asked to me that I didn't feel I would be able to do and move on. And of course, I treat him right. I took care of him, done everything that was needed. And our differences were Trevor's not a coach, he's a player. So he was worrying about things that players don't worry about.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that stood out to me is he kind of goes on a little bit longer to say, like, he was worried about Ricky Collins and how he would perform and wanting to have another season and things like that. And I think it's important as a player to kind of, you know, want to have the best season. He's, you know, probably wants to play in the NFL, and so it's important for that. But at the same time, like Coach Brown said, got to just leave that to the coaching staff. And so I think that, you know, unfortunately the Orange are going to miss what was going to be their wide receiver one after last season and going into this season. So it's a tough blow, but we'll see. And like we talked about last week, the transfer portal, just not much to be said. Not much to be said. Yeah, exactly. I mean, every week it seems like somebody new is transferring. But good news is Cornell lacrosse, or Syracuse lacrosse, Cornell. They played Cornell. They got a big one this weekend. And
yeah, I mean, we're talking about number one options. Moving on from football, SU comes out and plays number one Cornell, who has been fire starters this year. They are just phenomenal. Talk me through how you guys felt like watching the game and how SU performed against that number one team.
I wasn't upset by the way that they performed. I think they came out and they did a very good job kind of holding them through 3 quarters. I still think there's a little bit of that problem that we were talking last week where they have that 1 quarter where they just lag a little bit. And this, unfortunately, was in the 4th quarter, which is not the best quarter to have a lag. They only put up 1 goal. So that's still something I think they need to work on, especially kind of going into Duke and UNC in the last 2 games of the regular season. But overall, I mean, going into a number 1 seeded game, I wasn't terribly upset about the way that they played.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's a Cornell team that's looked really good all season long. Their only loss is to Penn State in overtime, a really close game against a good Penn State team that's also ranked in the top 10. So this Cornell team, they've really been number 1 all season long since Maryland lost, and they continue to show why. Now, you talked about the 4th quarter. They 4-1 in the 4th quarter, and it looked like at the end of the 3rd quarter they might, have a chance to come back in the game. Yeah, it was close throughout. But I like the way they play. I thought they looked solid throughout. And at the end of the day, Wyatt Nuss made 8 saves in the 1st quarter, and I think that was the biggest difference. He was unbelievable. Syracuse had a lot of good opportunities and just couldn't find the back of the net. You asked what our opinions were watching it. Unfortunately, I didn't watch it because it was on the most random streaming network of all time. And so that was frustrating for me. I'd watch the highlights after, listen to it on the radio. But throughout the game, every time it seemed like Cornell was going to run away with it, Syracuse came back, and so I was happy with that. I was happy with the effort to compete throughout. But like I said, Wyatt Nuss in that 1st quarter, he really took over the game, and I think that was the biggest difference for Cornell, especially in that 1st quarter. Syracuse just couldn't get the ball by him, 8 saves. He only had 14 saves in the game, and so for 8 of them to come in that 1st quarter, it kind of just made it set the tone, I think, for Cornell the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, talk about a goalie that kind of saves the team a little bit. That's kind of what Jimmy McCool needs to be for Duke and UNC. I mean, last year we saw Syracuse play Duke, and they're just had in both games, Duke and UNC, Syracuse had a shutdown defense. They shut both teams for more than 20, left them scoreless for more than 20 minutes. I mean, that's a key reason why they won both of those games last season. And I think that's really what they're going to be needing to do, and have a shutdown defense with Jimmy McCool in net again this season.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, defense does win championships, and what can you do when you're playing?
Haven't heard that one before from Sam.
Never heard that before. Didn't hear it on our last show. Have no idea what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, what are you supposed to do when you're shooting against a goalie that's unstoppable?
Yeah.
When
we know
they're
this team can shoot. We know this team can shoot. We know this team can make goals and put a lot of.
They're still one of the best
up.
offensive teams in the country, regardless of what
absolutely,
happens.
Then on that side, you need to complement those goals with a shutdown defense.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at their end of the season, how are you guys feeling about their chances against Duke and against UNC, and where do you think they kind of end up as we move into the end of the season?
Yeah, I think they can easily win both those. Not easily, but they can win both those games, no problem. I think we've seen this Syracuse offense all year long can put up 18, 19 goals whenever they want to. They put up 12 against Virginia. They put up 14 versus the defending national champ. So this Syracuse offense is going to score. I think it's a matter of the defense. If you look back at the Cornell game, I know I talked about how good Wyatt Nuss played. I thought Jimmy McCool didn't have his best game. He made 7 saves, and a lot of it was the defense. It wasn't just him that was the issue. He made a couple good saves when he had to, but there were a few shots from the outside that I think really hurt him. But at the end of the day, the first goal of the game, it's Cornell's best player, CJ Kirst, who's probably the best player in the country, will probably win the Tewaaraton Award this season. He averages over 6 points a game, almost 7 points a game. That's first in the country, and he averages 5 goals a game almost, which is also first in the country. The ball's kind of behind side right, so just to the right of Jimmy McCool, and then the defense slides from CJ Kirst, and they really weren't beat, and then 1-0 Cornell because you leave the best scorer in the entire country wide open. And so I think it's just understanding defensively, who to slide from and who to help from, and just not creating offense, especially when you're going to be playing teams like Cornell's over, but as good as Duke and UNC are. Duffy for UNC is one of the best players in the entire country. This Duke offense has struggled a bit at times this season, but I still think they have plenty of firepower that they're going to bring in 3 days from today, 2 days from today. So I think Syracuse has to be ready to go, especially defensively.
Yeah, I'll give a little stat here for our stat guru. If Syracuse can get it done in Durham, it will be the first time since 2018 that they won away in Durham. So I think they definitely, I agree with you, Jackson, they definitely have a shot at winning both. I mean, UNC is leading the ACC right now, but Syracuse is not far behind. But that now comes with the defense, and again, to Jackson's point, just making sure that they understand and they're covering the men on the field that they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point about it being since 2018, we've talked a lot over the last couple weeks about how many different milestone things have happened for the men's lacrosse team specifically. So it'll be really interesting to see, can they get it done in Durham, and can they finish this season with 2 wins and come into the tournament strong, hot, and ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, going 4-0 in ACC play this season would be huge. I mean, they're 2-0 at the moment, and they play probably the 2 best teams. I think Notre Dame, you can make the argument. Actually, I would say Notre Dame is probably better than Duke, but UNC is probably the best team besides Syracuse in the ACC. So we'll find out how that all goes. The one thing Duke-wise, though, is I think that's different than what Syracuse has seen a lot of the time this season is they generate a lot from their midfield, and so I think that's going to be something. Max Sloat, he's having a great season, 20 goals, 13 assists. So, and then you have Andrew McAdory's coming back, and then Ben Johnston at the midfield as well. Andrew McAdory is an attackman, but it's going to be a little bit of a different look for the Syracuse defense, generating from up top, generating from the midfield, and so I think they kind of have to be aware of that going into Duke, and we'll see what they do. Some of the last couple teams that Duke's played, they just lost to UNC. They put 2 poles on 2 midfielders instead of the 3 attackmen. So throwing some different looks at them, and I think they can find a way to really limit what Duke can do. But, we'll have to find out. That game is going to be Saturday at 2 p.m. at Koskinen Stadium, and, it's a big one, like we said. But we're going to take a quick break here. You're listening to ESPN Radio Syracuse on 97.7 and 100.1 FM.
Sweet.
Oh God, we gotta score. I think that if they win today, I think they're good. They'll get in. But if they don't, or not today,
I was going to say
this weekend.
Saturday.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Women are playing
The
today.
women need to.
I know. But if they win Saturday, I think they're good. And then if not, we'll see.
I mean, they have an edge over UNC in conference, or when they play UNC at home, and it's senior day, and it's the last game of the year, so that's really encouraging, especially with UNC being first in ACC and 5th all time. So we'll see. But
I think it's UNC's last game too, which both teams have a lot to play for. I think. Yeah, the biggest. I mean, UNC's better defensively, I think, than Duke is. So it'll be interesting, but
I think it's very interesting, at least to me, that ACC tournament, the women 8 get in and men only 4.
Yeah.
Why is
I can't remember.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they doing the play-in for the ACC lacrosse tournament this year?
I'm not sure, actually.
That would be crazy. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, the men only have 5 teams in it, so that's why it's done the way it's done. But I just, I don't know. The thing is, I think if you win this year, you're in, which last year wasn't the case. But I mean, it doesn't really matter because they'll get in anyway. But, which, speaking of, that's the thing that worries me about Duke is, They have to win, I think, against Syracuse this weekend to get into the tournament, to get into the NCAA tournament.
Duke because Duke is sitting 4th, I think.
Yeah, they're also 14 or something in the country, and so they're 12, and so there's an extra conference now. There's 7 conferences that get automatic qualifiers, so then only 6 teams can get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament. So I think realistically, there's 4 teams that'll probably be in the top 10 regardless, and they'll win their conference, and then or maybe 5. Let's see, Ivy, Big Ten, Patriot League, ACC. Yeah, so 4. And then outside of that, it's the next 6 teams basically, and so if you're not in the top 10 and you're Duke, you might be in trouble. So that's what worries me a little bit, but we'll figure it out.
Yay.
BC's goalkeeper, Shea Dulce.
Goated.
Insane. Unreal.
Ranks 2nd in the nation.
Talking about elite defenders and elite goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Defense wins championships, guys.
Defense wins
Did you know that?
championships.
I didn't.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue. They got to get it done. Got to get the job done.
Jill did say that she has a gut feeling that we might pull out a win.
Wow.
Or Syracuse might pull out a win.
I hope she's right.
Listen, we're always going to be
that
rooting.
would be pretty cool to end the season with
Win over
not
BC.
only with a win, but with a win over BC would be really cool.
It'll be huge.
Would be insane, and it would be a very big motivator going into the tournament.
Yeah.
Because I know the team has had a rough season in terms of injuries and
especially the last couple games.
scheduling
The last couple
and-
games have been brutal.
Yeah, they've just been having a little bit of a hard knock. So if they could take out a team like BC in their last game of the season,
That would be awesome.
That would
Pretty
be
nasty.
really cool.
Does anyone know when the last time they beat BC was? Because
Let me do a Google search.
I thought I had it in here, but maybe I didn't. It was 2021, I believe.
okay.
.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. I'm Jackson Cowan alongside Geraldine Pollia, Samantha Barlow. Just want to remind you this hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village of Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more information. And we just got finished up a little bit talking about the BC defense, the BC goaltending specifically. Syracuse women's lacrosse has a big matchup against the number 2 team in the country tonight. That game's going to be at Christian Brothers Academy at 7 p.m. Metallica concert is getting set up in the Dome currently, and so they'll be playing at CBA. Sam, you just talked about it. You've said it a couple times. Defense wins championships. Not many teams. There's only one team that's better defensively than this Boston College team.
So we were just talking about it on the break. Boston's goalkeeper, obviously, we talked about goalkeeping on the men's side, talking about goalkeeping on the women's side. Boston's goalkeeper is elite. She knows how to fill the net. She knows how to stop those shots, and her field vision is insane. Like, as a goalkeeper, especially in a sport like lacrosse, when you're dealing with a smaller ball, it's harder to do what those goalkeepers do. And so the field vision that she has is ridiculous. Like, it's so phenomenal to watch. I hate saying it because it's a Boston team and it's not SU, and that's, but you have to give people their flowers where they're due, and this team knows how to play defense. I think the other thing, though, that, not just talking about defense, their offense is also ridiculous. Like, they're just such a well-rounded team. Explains why they're number 2 in the country, obviously. But it's going to be up to SU to play an elite level defense to beat this team. It's going to be one of the only ways they're going to be able to do it, because this Boston College team knows how to score. They have scored in double digits every single game of this season, 6 of which have been 20 points or more. It just, even in the one loss that they had, they scored double digits. Like, they're just, their scoring capabilities are off the charts. So it's going to be up to SU to tighten up their defense and play an elite level of defensive ball. You do not come out of this game with a win unless you can play defense really, really well today. And I know in the past we've talked about SU goalkeeping, especially losing their star goalkeeper at the beginning of the season. So I think it's just important that goalkeeping is tight, defense is tight, and I think that that's how they get the win tonight.
Yeah, you're going to have to be good in all areas if you're Syracuse. It's the Boston College team with the best offense, the second best defense.
And historically amazing.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of BC, you just think of their dominance.
Yeah, especially, the last couple couple matchups. They're 8-2 against Syracuse in the last couple of years, and it's not like these are bad Syracuse teams. These are good. I mean, Syracuse has been one of the top teams in the entire country for the last couple of years. It's not like this is anything new. So, yeah, it's a really good Boston College team, and that's how Syracuse gets rewarded playing in the ACC. Is your last game. Here it is, the number 2 team in the country coming down at you, and also the reigning national champ. So it's just like.
Now I have a question for you guys too. Do you think that it's going to be an issue that they're at Christian Brothers Academy? They play at the Dome, which is closed and doesn't really have to do a lot with weather. And I mean, we do live in Syracuse, New York. I know it snowed yesterday. But
springtime.
Do you think that has any, I guess, problem with the game and their play?
I think I'm going to say they got really lucky. It's a good weather day.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Well, it's gorgeous out.
Yeah.
Sunny. It's like 51 degrees.
Clear, mild
No
breeze.
snow.
Beautiful, beautiful day for them to have to play outdoors.
100%.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be a factor when you're not in your home arena. It's always going to be a little bit of a shakeup. This isn't the first time that they've played at CBA, so it's not like this is a brand new area
That's
for
true.
them. So it is still familiar for them. It's a neutral site, but it's still home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they're going to have a little bit of an advantage there, just knowing that they're so close and that they've been there before. But I will say BC is 7-1 on the road. So, I mean, they did get their only loss of the season on the road. So let's make that 2 and serve them a second one to end the season. But I don't know. I think the big thing is that we got really, really lucky with the weather today, and it is the most perfect day to play outdoor lacrosse. So I think that they're going to be at an advantage for that specifically.
I'll say the only day so far I think all calendar year would be tomorrow. It's supposed to be 70 degrees tomorrow, but Sam, like you said, I don't think it really matters. It's one of the best teams in the country, the second best team in the country, and I think the Orange Faithful will travel. It's CBA. It's not far down the road, right? It's not like it's any different than a trip to the Dome would be. So I don't think that's really going to be a factor. I think the crowd's going to be there. I think it's fun. I like playing lacrosse outside better. I just think it's a little more exciting. But at the end of the day, there is something to be said for every game day you have your routine. You go to the Dome at a certain time. You have your meal. Kind of all that stuff. But I think of the places you can play, I think you take CBA over Chestnut Hill any day of the week. So, but at the end of the day, it's still Boston College. I think they're going to have to play very well defensively, very well offensively to really have a chance. So, to answer your question, I don't think it matters that much because you're still playing one of the best teams in the country. You're going to have to play great anyway. They got a great day for it, and the crowd is still going to be behind them, I think, all the same. It should be one of the best women's lacrosse games of the entire season. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And our star Emma Ward has the opportunity to break Syracuse's assists record tonight. So
all time.
She is tied with Katie Rowan for first spot right now at 164 before the game. So seems pretty likely that she'll get there tonight.
Yeah.
And that'll be great. She'll get to
that's awesome.
sign her name in the record books, which is phenomenal for somebody like her.
100%. Coco Vandeveer, also she's caused 36 turnovers, second on Syracuse's single season record list. So a couple opportunities, or a couple, record holders. I think they're both going to have to be really good tonight. Creating some problems for BC, both offensively and defensively. So we'll see what happens. But that game's, again, 7 o'clock. CBA, not at the Dome, unfortunately, so should be a good one. Also staying in Syracuse, the Crunch, making some news last night.
Go.
Yeah, they clinched their playoff berth with a win over the Hershey Bears. Exciting stuff. They're going to have a chance to compete for the Calder Cup.
Yeah. I mean, the Hershey Bears are, back-to-back Calder Cup champions. So that was really cool for them to not only clinch the playoffs, but clinch the playoffs against a dominant team like the Hershey Bears. You guys know I love hockey, so this is just super exciting to have not only the NHL but the AHL playoffs right now. And I mean, we'll get to the NHL, but I think it's such a interesting playoff season for them, but I also think it's such a interesting playoff season for the AHL.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, this is the 7th consecutive year that Syracuse has clinched a playoff spot, which is great.
Yep.
And it's their 19th time in franchise history. So Syracuse is a good AHL team. They hold it down. They hold it together. So I think that this could be a really good playoff season for them. If playoffs were to start right here in this moment, they'd be playing the Rochester Americans. They are 5-6 against the Americans this season. So just looking to see them kind of tighten that up a little bit. It's been a really neck and neck. They pretty much have been trading wins back and forth all season. So that would be a really fun series to watch. I think the big thing that we have to talk about is Geeky not being there.
Yeah, Connor Geeky, that one hurts. That one
Geeky-
hurts.
Geeky getting
Right
called up.
before the playoffs, too. I
Yeah.
mean, he went on a 6-7 game streak of getting at least a point in
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
There was some where he had 2
Yeah.
or 3 with the assists and a goal and all of that. And I mean, he was just all over the ice all the time. And he's just like a very fluid and fun player to watch.
He's very much an energy guy. Like, he brings such
Yeah.
a fresh energy, and he's a newer face for the Crunch, but he's just been so elemental for them this season. So obviously him being up with the
That's gonna
Lightning,
hurt. That's
that
gonna
makes
hurt.
my heart happy because that's my NHL team. But
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for the Crunch just to not have him.
Right.
They do still retain all 3 of their leading scorers, so that's great news. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going and put together some good games.
Brandon
Luckily,
Halverson in net. I mean, he's been phenomenal this season for them, too. A couple of shutouts, just absolutely standing on his head in a couple of games. So
yeah.
I'm confident with the players they have. It
Yeah.
just is, like Sam, hurts my heart a little bit that Geeky's not going to be there. But happy for him that he's in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the idea of the
That's the
AHL
goal.
team. Yeah, unfortunately,
I
is
mean-
you want to have guys playing the NHL, but yeah, to your point, top 3 scorers coming back, including Connor Sherry. He had the OT winner last night to clinch that playoff spot. But we'll get more into the Tampa Bay Lightning on the other side of break. Don't get too excited, Sam. We'll be right back here on ESPN Radio Syracuse on 97.7 and 100.1 FM.
You already know.
Thank you.
The Lightning and the Panthers. First round?
The battle of the Sunshine State coming at you. I feel like if I were the Lightning, I would have wanted to win the Atlantic, but guess not.
All right. Let's relax with that.
I mean,
It's fine.
maybe.
It's fine. Just because we didn't win the Atlantic doesn't mean we're not winning at all. So it's okay.
I actually think there's a good chance you come out of the East.
Yeah,
Good chance.
solid chance. Listen, might have lost the battle, but we're gonna win the war. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
No,
That
no.
is inspirational right there.
Yeah.
Look out.
I'm
gonna be
not
bad in-
Sure.
What, a month when Sam and I's teams are playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals? Youch.
As if your team will get out of the first round.
Whoa.
We're playing the Devils without Jack Hughes and no Jonas Siegenthaler either, so I don't really want to hear it. If we lose to the Devils, I'm not on the team. If the Canes lose to the Devils, I'm going to be fuming. It's going to be reminiscent of after
that's
Syracuse
playoff
lost to
hockey.
Harvard.
After the vein is gonna come back out.
Or when the Bruins lost to the Panthers.
Oh, yeah. Number 1 seed, best regular season ever. Yikes.
Loses to a wild card.
Whoops. Hey, they went to the Cup final, so they were good, but
I mean, yes, but should that have happened? Probably not.
Brad Marchand had a breakaway, didn't he, to clinch the series. Game 5, right before overtime.
Yeah.
Tough.
That's gonna be so fun.
Hey, mark your calendars, everybody, because the playoffs have started.
Schedule
Saturday.
dropped today.
I'm so excited. So excited.
There's got to be a better way for me to look at this, but whatever.
Not that I would ever want
It's on Twitter.
the Lightning to have to go to a 7-game series ever. Not a fan, especially
It's
not in
so
the first
scary.
round. But I'm not gonna be mad at it if they play a Game 7 in Tampa, which is my hometown, on my birthday.
I was going to say, when I
Yeah,
was
the only-
at Game
yeah.
7 last season of the Bruins and the Maple Leafs, when we won in overtime,
Electric.
crazy.
It's
the
electric.
TD Garden was
Boogie, woogie,
literally
woogie.
shaking.
Yeah, for a Game 7 against one of our rivalry teams to be in my hometown on my birthday, you know where I'll be. Don't worry about it.
The issue is you don't want to go to 7 games in the first round against a Florida team that's going to just wear you down.
Yeah.
Like, that would be brutal.
Exactly. That's my biggest concern is I wouldn't want them to gas themselves out that early.
Because you're probably going to play
That's tough,
Toronto,
yeah.
and that's just going to be brutal.
Yeah, and I have a lot to say about
Toronto.
Toronto.
Not very good in the playoffs. Let's be honest.
True. That is true. They have to get past
literally
Ottawa first. They have to get past Ottawa first.
With all due respect to the Toronto Maple Leafs, every single time they hit the playoffs, all of their top scorers disappear.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So, to me, I could see Ottawa kicking them out in the first round.
Aren't you a William Nylander fan? Didn't you buy his jersey?
No, I am.
His jersey?
But that's not. I can understand the fact that they are not
Could lose.
good.
They could lose. That's fair.
In the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. They've won 1 round in the past 20 years.
Perfect. Good. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
You have to beat Florida first.
Okay. I'm aware.
Why
but
does
Florida's
that
not doing
series
very good
that
right now.
series doesn't start till Tuesday?
Well,
So dumb.
Tampa plays their last game
No,
tonight against the Rangers.
Wednesday.
Yeah, the regular season is still going on, Jackson. We gotta get
The Canes play tonight, and they play on the 20th.
Well,
Got a 20 seconds Tuesday.
Okay.
yeah, it is Tuesday.
Talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon alongside Samantha Barlow, Geraldine Polly. I'm Jackson Cowan. The NHL playoffs start on Saturday, and we were going to do our Push My Buttons about the schedule not being released, but came out half hour before the show. Yeah, hey, we adjust, we adapt. It's a fast-moving
Welcome to the sports
profession.
industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a fast-moving industry we've chosen to work in, but kind of want to get into, there were some funny memes and things on Twitter I was appreciating. But real quick, just want to recap where we're at, because we're going to do things a little differently this week. We're going to do our predictions during this segment so we can do the whole segment for Push My Buttons after the next break. And so just want to let everybody know the girls are tied at 4-2 with their predictions, and then I am 3-3. Geraldine and I both went 1-1 last week. Sam 2-0. She was the only one that picked Florida. Geraldine and I both picked Duke to be national champs. But so want to get into some Western Conference. We'll start with the West since we're all really East fans. We'll start with the West. The Jets and the Blues, the number 1 seed, the President's Trophy winner, Winnipeg Jets versus the St. Louis Blues, who had a great run. They won 12 in a row toward the end of the season, but then struggled a bit. I just kind of want to get your thoughts real quick about that series. Who you guys got? Geraldine, you're up first.
Ooh, put me on the spot. Yeah, I like the Blues. They have Jim Montgomery, one of my previous, or the Bruins' previous coaches. But I would be remiss not to take the Jets. I'm taking the Jets. I mean, they've been strong all season long. They have Hellebuck in net. Just a solid team overall.
Yeah, probably going to win the Vezina.
Yeah.
I'm going Jets too. I think it would be very hard to see them lose in the first round with the season that they've had. So I'm hoping they can pull it out and represent Canada well, considering the stats we brought up last time we were here about.
It's been a long time since a Canadian team has won a national championship, a Stanley Cup.
Round. Let's not get too excited.
Yeah,
but
that's
yes.
true. You got to start somewhere, though. You
got to make it out of the first round and make it to the Cup. So
that's true.
I'm taking the Jets for that first round.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Jets as well. They got boat raced last year by Colorado in the first round. Connor Hellebuck, he should be the Vezina winner for the second year in a row, but he looked rough in that series. I think it's a completely different animal, though, playing St. Louis. They were not fortunate because they played well all season, but I think winning the West was huge because they don't have to play Colorado or Dallas in the first round, which that's going to be a series. So the other two teams in the Central, I just brought them up, Dallas, Avalanche, Sam, you're up first this time. Little pump fake. Look at Jody
I know, I was
first.
ready.
So, I would like to point out that the Dallas Stars are currently favored on all of the sports books to win the Cup this season, to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
But media has them not even making it out of the first round. So I just want to put that into the air that, like,
Nobody knows.
The mantra
Nobody
around
knows.
the Stars right now is bonkers bananas. All that to be said, I'm taking the Avs.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really spicy series. I think it's going to be really fun to watch. But I think the Avs are going to squeak them out.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. I've said the Avs. I really like the way they look. I think the pieces they picked up in kind of the trading and
At
all
the
of
trade
that.
deadline,
the
yep.
trade deadline. Charlie Coyle, Brock Nelson. I mean, they have Cale Makar. They're just a solid team right now, and I really like the way they've been playing. They've been meshing really well, and I think all 4 of their lines are really, really deep, and they can score.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Avs.
Yeah, we're all 3 in agreement again. I think the biggest thing for me is I don't think Miro Heiskanen is going to play. It seems like that could be an issue. He's the best defenseman on the Dallas Stars, one of the best defensemen in the entire league. That is really going to hurt this Dallas team, I think, who I think has a little bit of a weaker D-core than Colorado does. In general, I think the forwards are about the same. But I'm a Canes fan, and Mikko Rantanen got traded to Dallas. Marty Necas, Jack Drury both got traded to Colorado. I'm going to be watching a lot of former players. Mikko Rantanen was there for like 2 weeks, but going to be watching a lot of former players in that series. And it is the Mikko Rantanen Bowl. See what he can do against his former team. But that one's going to be interesting. That one gets started on Sunday. So that I think that should be a good series as well. And then the other team that won their division, the Golden Knights, won the Pacific. They get the Minnesota Wild, who got Kaprizov back. So that one I think is going to be interesting. I think Vegas is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the West. I have Vegas in that one.
Me too. I mean, again, another one of the previous Bruins goalie, Bruce Cassidy. But, I mean, Minnesota kind of smeeched their way into the wild card position. I mean, they're a good team, and they picked up Ziva Booyam. There we go.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's always great to have these players come in right from the college league. They kind of don't have to that, I guess, learning curve.
Yeah.
But I think the Knights just have been such a dominant team that with the way that Minnesota has gotten into the playoffs, I think the Knights are just going to kind of maybe not trump them, but I think the Knights are going to take it.
Yeah, I think they roll.
Yeah, I'm taking the Knights as well. I think one of the big things that we have to mention here is the Wild are a very young, very untested team.
Yeah.
When you come into playoffs, everybody's in a different gear. And when you have guys that are young and not battle tested, it's easier to fold. The spotlight gets really bright. And sometimes, and like you said, with the way that they got into the wild card spot, I just don't know if they have what it takes, especially against a team like Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas has been ridiculous since they have been franchised.
Yeah.
They are just a dominant team.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Minnesota has Fleury in net, but you can't really
Yeah, I think
rely-
Gustafsson will start, though. But it is kind of a cool story about Fleury ending his career and, like, the retirement thing. Yeah, it is cool.
His kids came out in his last home game. That was really special.
we love a good sports story. But unfortunately, I do think that they're going to go home in the first round.
I would probably agree. And like we talked about, Minnesota 5-3-2 in their last 10 games. So struggling a bit here. And then the last one in the West for round 4, LA Kings, Edmonton Oilers. You got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl versus really a team for the LA Kings who's coming in. And LA is going to have home ice advantage, and they've been red hot at home. They're 31-5-4 at home all season long. They've been the best home team in the entire league. Jody, what do you got?
I mean, these are two teams that play each other a decent amount and have played each other a lot in round 1 of the playoffs.
The last 3 years.
So they know each other really well. They compete at a tremendous level. This is the one that I really can't tell, but just based on their home ice advantage and how dominant they are at home, I'm taking the Kings.
Yep.
Okay, so gonna stats guru you again.
Oh boy,
here we
this is gonna be good.
Edmonton has won the last 6 postseason matchups between these two teams, and the last time the Kings beat the Oilers was in 1989. So it has been a while.
You're saying they're due.
I really think that this could be a season of shaking it up. So earlier when I was talking about this and I was kind of scoping out my options before we got on the show, I had been leaning Oilers, but I'm just thinking about how much the Kings have to prove. And I think I got to take the Kings. I do. I think that they're going to squeak out that first round. And like you said, home ice advantage is so important in the playoffs that I think I'm going to go Kings.
Yeah. Well, finally we get a little bit of a dispute. I'm going to take Edmonton. I think Connor, Leon, I think they're just too much. The goaltending's still a little bit of a question mark about Stuart Skinner and his health, so I think that could be an interesting storyline. But I think LA has been phenomenal all year. Like you said, the home ice advantage I think is going to be huge. But I think it's another instance where I just think the star power is too much for Edmonton. Quentin Byfield has taken steps for LA. I expect the series to be 7 games. I think it's going to be maybe the best series in the entire Western Conference. So I think it should be a good one, but I got Edmonton nonetheless.
Can we point out the fact that this is playoff hockey? So really anything that we say
anything could happen.
I mean, I always bring up the fact that the Boston Bruins had a phenomenal season a couple years ago and then got kicked out by the wild card by the Florida Panthers. So these are our picks, but could be completely wrong.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows, honestly, especially in a series.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. You have no idea. You just never know.
Well, we got a whole other conference of predictions coming up. We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll be right back here on ESPN Radio Syracuse on 97.7 and 100.1 FM.
Do you want to hand the buttons out now since
I guess.
Are we going to do our quick
quickies Eastern Conference.
Why would we not say why we should have done the Eastern Conference first because that's our conference.
I didn't know it was going to take 10 minutes for us to do that. So
sorry.
It's my bad. No, we're good.
I think I think that's why we go quickly Eastern because they are our teams. Gosh, I don't even know.
Oh, I know.
Oh boy.
I know. Respectfully.
Like, is there a world where, like, I could see the Blues being the Jets somehow. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
I could see them putting up a fight for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just think that at the end of the day, the Jets know how to close.
Yeah, I think that series could go 5 or 6 depending on how well the Blues show up. But
yeah, for sure.
Jordan Bennington, give the kid a shot. Just give the kid a chance. Look what he did in the 4 Nations.
Yeah. It's true.
He loves the TD Garden.
Yes, he does. I think he just likes the spotlight, the bright lights and everything.
Some people rise in that situation. Like, some people rise and some people fold. And if you can be a young player that can rise in a spotlight like that, you are going to do great things.
I don't know if he's really young anymore, though. He's got to be like 25, right?
Okay. I understand that 25 in sports terms is old, but let's maybe watch our mouth.
Oh, he's 31. He's got you by long. I wasn't even close.
There you go. That's fine. You could call him up there if he's 31 and playing hockey still, but too much on 25.
I think 25 is old, but
okay. We're taking shots out here.
Initially, it didn't start out as a shot until Sam took it that way, and I was like, well,
just had to finish it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how can I not take it that way when that's your favorite thing to say to me is that I'm ancient. I'm going to turn to dust. Be 26 in a couple weeks. What are you going to say then?
Oh, yeah. When during Game 7.
Game 7, Lightning Panthers.
26.
Be 26 in Amalie Arena.
Oh, that would be lit, though.
That would be the greatest birthday of my life. I don't even care what happens after.
Yeah.
What if they lose?
No. Okay. No. Not an option.
Understood.
She's going to go fight John Cooper if they lose.
I would never fight.
Great coach. I love John Cooper.
I would never fight Coach Coop.
Do you think she picks Tampa Bay or do you think she picks Florida?
I don't know. It's really up in the air.
Can't predict what I'm going to do next, considering the fact that I'm a Gator not fan, and I picked the Gators to win it all. So I think the craziest experience of my life was sitting there watching the national championship game rooting for the Florida Gators. I think I had an identity crisis, honestly, because I have never.
You went to UCF.
Yeah, I've never, not once in my life since birth, rooted for the Florida Gators. Not once. And I sat there watching that national championship game, rooting for the Gators, freaking out in that last couple minutes when it was just like back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh, and then when the Houston fumble happened and the game ended, I was like,
I was fuming.
really?
I was fuming.
So
I was fuming.
my heart rate was definitely skyrocketing.
Yeah. So we have our resident Florida Panthers fan is here from Sunshine, Florida, Patrick Scanlon. Appreciate you being here.
It
Our
has
good
been.
friend says
It's
it's not
become
even
a
a
rivalry.
The
Okay,
Panthers own them.
No. Also, I would like to say that last year preseason, I went to the Lightning Panthers preseason game. That was one of the most insane preseason games I've ever been to in my life. There was like 8 or 9 different fights. There was like 30 minutes worth of penalty minutes.
Jeez.
At one point, all 10 guys on the ice, not the goalies, obviously.
We're in the box.
No. They got sent to the locker room because they had so many penalty minutes going into the half that there would have been no point for them to stay in the box. So they sent them to the locker room.
Let's go.
10 of them. And had to have a full lineup. What? They hate each other.
At 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. Jackson Cowan alongside Geraldine Pollia, Samantha Barlow. We'll get right back into it. We're going to be quick. Got push my buttons after this, and we'll go to a series between 2 of the last 4 Stanley Cup winners, 2 of the last 4 teams to win a Stanley Cup, the Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, the Battle of Sunshine State. Sam, the Lightning fan, who you got?
This is going to be the most obvious answer I could ever give you. It's Lightning all the way, baby. I don't care what anybody says about it. They've seen each other in the last 3 postseasons. And the first time the Panthers beat them was last year, obviously. And I think the Panthers hitting a late season slump is going to give it. And also, Tampa Bay Lightning, headed up by John Cooper, are a playoff team. Yeah. They are one of the best playoff teams ever, all time. And I will defend that until I die. So it's Lightning forever.
Yeah, I think she missed the quick part of that, but that's okay.
That was the only one I won't be quick about.
I'll be quick.
The only one I won't be quick about.
Geraldine, who you got?
Sam, you'll like this. I'm also going to take the Lightning. I think that there's, honestly, even though they're hitting a late season slump, they are going to put up a fight. They'll have Tkachuk back, but I think the Lightning are looking really good this season, so I'm taking the Lightning.
Yeah, the reigning Cup champs, and I think it's a good coaching battle. John Cooper, Paul Maurice, also a good goaltending battle. So I got Tampa Bay across the board. We'll move to Carolina. They're playing the Devils. I have the Canes. I think this one's pretty easy. No Jack Hughes. I think that one really hurts New Jersey.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Canes. I think they're going to win in 5.
Me too. I mean, it's simple, easy. I think the Devils are a good team, but without Jack Hughes, it's really tough.
Yeah, I'm also taking the Canes.
Yeah, quick. Washington and the Canadiens, they just clinched last night. The they beat the Hurricanes 4-2 rather, I believe was the final, to clinch their spot as the last team in the East. Geraldine, Washington or Montreal?
The Capitals. Not really much to say. Ovi, they've been clinched. They're at the top. It's no-brainer.
I'm taking the Caps too. I think Ovi's going to be playing loose. I think it's going to be Caps are coming for blood this season, so Caps.
Yeah, I worry a little bit about the goal chase, but I think that this Montreal team just a little bit too young. I think they're going to be good in the future. I love Marty St. Louis. I think he's a great coach. I love what he's done there. So happy for Montreal and the fans in that city to get playoff hockey back, but I think Washington is just going to be too much. And then the last one, I have Senators. I think Brady Tkachuk is built for the playoffs. He's a playoff player, power forward. I'm worried about the Ottawa D, but I think that Linus Ullmark can maybe steal him a game or two, and I expect the Senators, I think they're going to pull it out in 7.
I have the Senators too. I mean, on the opposite side, the Leafs, as much as they're looking really good in the regular season, you can't not talk about the fact that every single playoffs, when the playoffs come around, they just poof, disappear. Austin Matthews, no goals. William Nylander, no goals. Mitch Marner, nothing. So the Senators, and also Linus Ullmark, another previous Bruin. He stands tall in net.
Seems like it's the theme of the show today is former Bruins.
Yeah, I mean, we're all over the place now because Don Sweeney likes to send our players away, but...
And coaches. Don't forget about coaches.
Oh, yeah, that too. But I won't get too much into that. I'm taking the Senators.
I'm going to be the differential here. I'm taking the Leafs. I think that they're due to show up and show out, and I think that they've just had too good of a season to fold this time. So I think they're going to hold it together, but I do think that's a series that goes to 7.
Yeah. Battle of Ontario should be a fun one. Geraldine, push my buttons. You got it this week. What do you got for us?
Okay, we are talking about play-in. When it comes to tournaments, professional, college, anything, does it bother you? What do you guys think about play-ins?
All right, I'll be quick. I know you're an NBA fan, Sam. We both push our buttons, but I think that there is a time and a place for each of them. I think with March Madness, it's great. Add a couple more teams. I don't want March Madness to get any bigger, though, but the NBA play-in really bothers me, especially years like this where there's going to be a team that's under 500 likely in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think play-ins are, like we talked about earlier, Geraldine, if you had a bad season, you had a bad season.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit conflicted on it because I do think from like a sport fan perspective, play-ins can be really fun. And as a Miami Heat fan, we have benefited from the play-ins the last like 4 seasons. So I like, it's hard for me to say too many negative things because my team has been a benefit from that. They made it from the play-ins to the finals 2 seasons ago. Like the play-ins, anything can happen, but I do think that at the end of the day, if you had a bad season and you, specifically if you were under 500 and you still somehow snag a playoff spot, I think it just kind of undermines some of what sport is. And so, like Jackson said, I do think that there's a time and a place. And I think that it can be fun in certain situations, but specifically from like an NBA standpoint, I kind of hate it despite how much it's benefited my team.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the Hawks would get in regardless, and they're a little bit under 500. But like if the Heat get in, like they're well under 500. It does help with the whole tanking thing, so I kind of get that a little bit. But at the same time, I'm not like a huge fan of it. One place I do like it though is for college lacrosse. I actually think they should expand the tournament, not necessarily just to play in. Right now, 17 teams get in. There's 7 conferences. There's almost not enough teams that get in my opinion. I don't want it to get that much bigger though. I think they could do maybe 20 and like the top 4 teams get buys or something like that. Or I guess it'd be top 12 get buys or something like that. I don't know. I have to figure out the math, but that's an area where I do like to play in. I like that, 2 of the teams that won the conference, like this year, the NEC. Nothing against the NEC. It's not a good lacrosse conference. Not a good lacrosse conference. I apologize. I don't think they should really. I think they should kind of have to play in for the tournament. But like we said, the NBA, not a fan. Some people have been talking about an NHL possible play-in. Geraldine, how do you feel about that? We can tell off the rep from your side. It's probably not a fan.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was gonna say I'm gonna relate this to hockey and what I know. When you're vying for the wild card spot, I consider that play-in. It's regular season, but you're fighting, you're having those last couple games, you're making those pushes that you need to get into the playoffs. But Sam, like we were saying, if you had a bad season, you had a bad season. I'm sorry, I'm a Bruins fan, but I don't want to see them trying to play in to get to the playoffs because that's just terrible.
Yeah.
That would be a terrible game. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not what I want to see. I love the whole wild card push. I think that's great. I just don't think that there's necessarily a need to have these play-ins, especially for hockey when we have those wild card spots. I agree with Jackson. I think there's a time and a place, and I think there's definitely specific sports that it makes sense with, but not for hockey. And even like for basketball, I think like, yes, it could be good, like you're saying, for the Miami Heat and for those other players, but it just also then creates this whole other layer that is a lot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think NHL, I definitely don't want it. I mean, It's been awesome watching this Columbus-Montreal kind of race. Yeah. I mean, Columbus has won 5 straight. That's been awesome, but I think it would take away some of that excitement that we've had for the last couple of week and a half or so since Columbus went on this heater. I think that would take away if you had the play-in where Columbus is in. It's like, all right, well, all of a sudden the last 4 or 5 games don't even really matter that much compared to for Columbus. It was like each of the last 5 mattered so much when they that case they wouldn't too. And now I know tonight rather, the games aren't going to matter for Columbus necessarily, but it's one game. I think we're all pretty much excited for playoffs. So I think that's the biggest thing is just I think it would take away from the end of the regular season a little bit when you have these teams are already in playoffs, and it's like, all right, I think we limit it, especially in professional sports. Season's long enough for hockey.
And they play
and
7 games around. Like they are already pushing themselves to the limit in the playoffs. Like we don't need to do that more with these play-in games, especially like Jackson, you were saying, and like I was saying, like that's what the end of the regular season is for.
Yeah. I think like you said. It's been a blast. Thank you guys for bringing me on. For one final time, I want to say thank you for joining us here on Newhouse Afternoon. Both of you, thank you for having me. I know I was kind of a late addition, but that's all the time we have. Keep listening. You got the sports show with Cody Mack coming up next here on ESPN Radio Syracuse on 97.7 and 100.1 FM.
This is Orange Nation.